Going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome one and all to the Gamers at Large podcast. How's everybody doing tonight? Introducing everyone over here from my left to my right. We're going to start off with Micah. Micah, do your thing, man.
Yeah, what's up? Looking forward to the podcast. Hope everyone out there is listening and, so hope we drop some good stuff.
There we go. Up next, we got Games Rosa. Games Rosa, what's up, man?
Hey everybody, this is Gamer906 back at you once again with another podcast at the Gamers at Large. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this, and let's see how this goes.
Okay. Up next, we got Mr. Butterworth. How you doing, Mr. Butterworth?
Oh, what's up, guys? Jamie Butterworth here, looking forward to a podcast I haven't been on in a while.
Alrighty, but hey, it feels like you're back at home, huh?
Right, exactly.
Up next, we got Mr. T. Go ahead, Mr. T. Do your thing.
Hey, all you lovely fools out there, Mr. T here. Happy to be on another podcast. Let's do it, fools.
Alright, and we got Zen, the Zen Man. What's up, Zen?
Yo, you already know who it is, Nintendo the Zen Gamer. I haven't been on in a while, so I'm not going to lose this opportunity to say this. Finally, the Zen has come back to Gamers at Large.
Okay, and finally there's me, QMC, Quan Manchu, ready to do my thing. Alright, let's get this started. Who's got the first topic for tonight? Anything interesting we want to talk about? Let's see. One good topic that I was thinking is the situation that Microsoft's in lowering production.
Ah, yeah. Heard about that.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that situation, about them lowering the production, of their consoles from the factories?
Well, it really only indicates one thing. It's not selling as much as they had anticipated it would, but we all saw that with the MPD numbers that we released a few days ago. Now, the thing is I'm not sure whether this is a good thing. Maybe it is a good thing for those who have not bought one of these yet, because it seems as if the ones that are out there that are already at retailers will get price cuts. So for those of you who don't have an Xbox One, you can hope and pray that perhaps this may turn out to be a good thing for you. For Microsoft, not so much, but we'll see how things roll out. We have no idea at this point.
My concern is seeing them bow out too quick out of the race, as it were, because, like I said before, and I'll say it again, a monopoly for one or other of the console makers is not good for the gamer. You don't want, you do not definitely want a monopoly with one of the companies. I don't care what anybody says. Competition, it breeds excellence in these gamers. These gamer companies. You know what I'm saying? The more that they feel the heat on them, the more likely they're going to put out a better product for us.
True.
I mean,
It hasn't always been true, but there was a time when a certain company named Nintendo had a pretty good monopoly, and we had some pretty good games in that era, but not everybody's Nintendo.
Oh, that's true. That's because they made sure they had that Nintendo seal of quality stamped right on there. They had made sure of that. Even though you had a lot of... Go ahead.
Which in turn ruffled a lot of feathers.
Oh, my Lord. The butt hurt is strong with them.
Right, it had something to do with their current state, unfortunately.
Exactly. They're still butt hurt over it.
But I don't know. I personally just feel that this. I mean, looking at it from a business perspective, I don't think this is damaging Microsoft. Now, it does have its effects. I mean, for example, shareholders do not want to see the company losing money, so they're obviously going to be the big influence in whether the Xbox brand should stay or not. But at the same time, whether this is meant to be like a battle between Sony and Microsoft, whatever. From a business perspective, this isn't really hurting. As Microsoft as a whole, this isn't really hurting them. I mean, for me, the Xbox brand is just the product of a man who had too much time, too much money, and who isn't really that concerned in losing a little bit of money out of the amount of money he's making to try something new. If that makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying. Like a comment I made before. He's basically pulling a wrestling thing, a WCW, like Ted Turner did back in the day. You know what I'm saying? He saw the money being made by WWE/WWF and decided to say, hey, let me get me a little bit of that money. He bought himself a good old WCCW and then turned it into WCW, and that's all she wrote.
And then another thing as well, I mean, if Microsoft loses the Xbox brand, they still have Windows to put their games on.
Mm-hmm.
So it may mean the end of them in consoles, but then the PC market will benefit, which in turn will just benefit Microsoft.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
go ahead. Go ahead,
I was just gonna say we can't kid ourselves. Microsoft ain't going nowhere. I mean, Xbox, ain't going nowhere. They'll lose money on the console. I don't think they're losing money on Xbox One. But if that's the case, I mean they can lose it, and I mean they're over a $300 billion company, So I mean, and they're not gonna concede to Sony by any stretch of the imagination. So they'll keep losing money if they have to, But I mean, like you said, they're not gonna, it's not gonna hurt them. Obviously, they're not selling as much as they would like. That they were thinking, but I guess other than Sony, nobody is. So no big deal. Like it's been said before that this is a marathon, not a sprint. So things can change like that. I mean, there are a lot of Xbox fans or Microsoft fans who just haven't bought the console for certain reasons. Maybe they don't like the Kinect. Maybe they don't like the price. That's things that can be easily fixed, if they want to, And Microsoft may not feel like they have to right now. If they get in that position where they have to, that's going to happen. And you think Xbox is going to have problems selling? I don't think so. I actually picked them to be, the quote unquote winner of this gen. So, a Nintendo fan said that? Oh my God!
Blasphemy!
And that's the thing for me is that between the PS4 and the Xbox One, I feel the Xbox One's the better choice right now out of the two of them. So, I mean, it should be selling better than it is.
Games?
Based on games, because that's, I tend to buy systems to play games, not to, have a $400 Netflix review.
$400 porn station.
Yeah, porn station.
Get it right, we're talking about the Port Station 4.
Port Station, Porn Station, Faith Station, there's all kinds of names for it.
There's that amazing new game coming out called The Last of Us. Never heard about it.
Did you hear now they're looking at doing the Mass Effect trilogy on PS4?
Are you kidding me?
I call so much BS on that if they do it. I call so much BS.
They better not do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them.
That would be...
No, but then again, it makes perfect business sense. It makes perfect sense. Come on, guys. We don't have business degrees, so they know what they're doing, selling the same games to the same audience over and over and over and over and over. And over. Yeah, so, they know what they're doing, man. We have no idea how to run businesses over here. Common sense, be damned. So,
we know that all it takes to make a brand new game is releasing a game that we just released last year and say remastered in 1080p.
Oh Lord! Shoot! At least Steven Spielberg took some time before he remastered his joints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The sad part about this is that if this is indeed true, because at this point it's still rumor with the Mass Effect stuff, if they do come out on the PS4 and the Xbox One, all of these guys who had it before are going to run out and buy it because of some title, some subtitle, and really and truly all they're going to be getting is the PC version.
Which I already have. I already have all three in the PC. I bought them individually and the DLC.
Yep.
So,
well, it's either that or you pay for your demos. You choose which one.
Oh Lord!
I mean, all you got to do is throw that selling tag on it, which is call it the Mass Effect Next Gen trilogy.
Oh Lord!
Yeah, sell like hotcakes.
I don't even think they even need to say all these fancy names. I think all they need to do with all of these games, if they want to sell them, is just put on the game case 1080p.
Oh Lord!
That's pretty pathetic.
That is really sad. That's all it takes to get people to run out and buy the same thing twice.
1080p.
Never in the history of the gaming industry have numbers being so important. We've got 8 gigs of RAM, 8 cores, 1080p. I mean, numbers have, just blown up in terms of relevance. Right?
There's a bunch of numbers that nobody knows what they mean.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Now, that is to say, like I said, though, the only difference would be if they brought it to the Wii U, it would be a new play experience because of the gamepad. It would make things different. You know what I'm saying? With the targeting, et cetera, and whatnot, kind of like we did with Mass Effect 3. But we already know they're not going to sit up here and go that route.
Nope.
I mean, I just don't understand this industry. But I'll say one thing: if there's one thing Microsoft could, this is why I think Microsoft ain't. This is why I feel that Microsoft ain't that concerned, especially when it comes to Sony and everything. All Microsoft has to go do is one thing, and they will crush Sony by tomorrow. And that's just go and just do this. Third-party companies, EA, Activision, 2K, whoever, Ubisoft, whoever, name your price, and it's over.
I mean,
So financially, Sony can't compete with Microsoft.
They're trying, but they can't do
Not
it.
doing very well.
Yep, not doing well at all, because it's when they switched up their main competitors from Nintendo to Microsoft, you got the Sony that we have today, which is, well, not good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How are you gonna take on someone that is number one in their field and you're hardly number one in any of your fields?
You know, it kind of reminds me of that guy who, you know, works probably Monday to Friday. You know, he's monthly paid. He's literally living to the dollar, right? Every dollar he gets has value, and he's trying to impress this rich guy or whatever. He's trying to outdo this rich guy to borrow something, buying drinks for everyone, even though he knows he can't do it. You know, it kind of reminds me of that, because you can't compete with Microsoft, man. They're the rich kid on the block. You can't really do it.
Exactly. This is the hidden message behind the lip speak that Nintendo put out when they say they're not very good at competing.
I mean,
As much money as Nintendo has, they know they can't take on Microsoft like that.
right, and that's what they meant. A lot of people took that another different way. But, you know, you can't, as a $17 billion company, $18 billion company, compete with a $300 and something billion company. You just can't, you know, compete in the same space as they do. You know, so that's what they meant when they said that.
Exactly.
And I want to. I've already defended Microsoft a little bit and Xbox, so let me defend Sony just a little bit here. All of Sony's woes, unfortunately, aren't from PlayStation. But yes, PlayStation 3 cost Sony a lot of money. And, you know, you'll see in the last couple of years that it's been making, you know, this and it's been making that. They've been making money, turning profits on PlayStation. But you have to forget, they are still climbing out of the hole of the PlayStation 3. You know, they were billions in the hole on PlayStation 3 for the first 3 years. So just because you made $100 million the last quarter don't mean you're still in that hole, you know. But, you know, when I want to, you know, kind of elaborate on for me, the woes of Sony, which really don't have to do with PlayStation, even though they're losing a little bit of money on PlayStation 4. When a company starts talking about part 3, part 4, part 5 of a movie franchise, when they barely got out part 2, that's when it's time to worry.
and it's not like they did that great with part 1.
Right. And I'm talking about Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man here.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, just in case, you know, some people out there don't know. That's when you have to worry a little bit. Because, you know, obviously it seems to be a little different when it comes to video games, because you have Ubisoft talking about, you know, their sequels before they even released the first game. But, you know, I mean, to me, that's worrisome, you know, because to me that you're not going to, for me, that says there's not going to be a lot of creativity, because you're basically putting these movies or video games out on an assembly line, you know, and, exactly. You know, you made some money here, and you feel like you can make some money off of this, and you're already making the second part. And it's not for me, it's not a creative process. It's a business process. And, you know, to me, that's a fail.
Pretty much what happened to the Call of Duty franchise.
Right.
Yes. But in addition to what you're saying, though, I mean, we have to also remember as well is that even though the PlayStation brand isn't doing so badly at the moment, it has been a lot of, well, you didn't mention it with the PS3, but it has been what's really and truly been dragging Sony down from the beginning, because they've been bleeding money into it from other divisions, which are not beating their competition either.
Yeah, and you try to explain these to these gamers who started gaming 5 years ago, and they don't understand. Like, they were losing hundreds of dollars per system sold on the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2. So, and the recoup is from the software sales.
And the software sales ain't that great.
And the software sales for the PS4 at least ain't that great.
Just to expand on what you said about the gamers from 5 years ago, I would even try arguing with them about things like that. I mean, they recently started gaming or they're very young. I call them fishbowl gamers. They live inside a fishbowl. They can't imagine what's on the outside or on the other side of that glass. They just can't.
Hey, look who we got joining in here. It's Tobias. What's up, Shadow Fox?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just putting stuff together at the new spot.
Yeah, we over here talking about the PS brands' woes and what they're going through, right now, as well as Microsoft. We're talking about what each company's woes are at the moment.
Yeah, they all tend to have them. For whatever reason, it seems like only Nintendo seem to be shown most of the time, though.
Yeah.
So did you guys already talk about the whole the PlayStation branding fiasco as far as the name or them selling off VAIO?
Selling off of VAIO? You mean their computer line?
Yeah.
So basically, they're doing no different than what was done a long time ago with the ThinkPad line that was done. I think it was IBM that did it. That sold it off.
They sold it off to Lenovo.
Wow. That obviously that's not a good sign right there that they're selling off a whole entire division like that.
Yeah, I mean it was okay for IBM because IBM is also one of the only fabs in the United States that makes custom processors like that. Sony doesn't make custom processors; they make DSPs, and that's it.
But didn't Sony buy the same company that was responsible for the memory for the EDRAM of the Wii U?
Resnius?
Yes, Resnius.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know if that went through or not. I know Apple was trying to buy them too.
Yeah, because I think the Sony bought them.
If Sony did, then that was a good coup because Apple's looking to purchase them for a large amount of money, like a couple of weeks ago.
But the funny thing is when like you get a lot of the drones that see that kind of news and whatever, and they spit. I was like, the kind of stuff that comes out of their mouth, it's just like, no, it's just a little business decision. It doesn't change anything.
Wow.
To me, even obviously the layoffs and the selling off VAIO. I mean, these are all red flags. But to me, the biggest red flag was Square Enix. To me, they felt they needed that $47 million that bad to where they let go of Squaresoft, who has, hasn't been the most, productive lately, but they still have, pretty stellar IPs, and anything can happen in the future. They're doing good on 3DS with what's the 3? Right. So I mean,
and Kingdom Hearts as well.
Right. They still have the potential to produce these critically and commercially successful games, but Sony felt that little 47, and I mean little to them, that little $47 million that they got for selling them off was worth it. To me, that's what was the biggest red flag out of all.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Sure.
I'll go ahead and take it for Sony for a split second. I don't know. I'm not certain, but I'm kind of guessing here. But that whole the Sony the Square Enix Holdings property, from what I understand, Sony fronted Square Enix a lot of money in the beginning to do all the production for things like the Final Fantasy movie and the direct-to-DVD cuts and things like that they did, including the studios for them making all their CGI stuff. So I don't know if that was part of that and Square Enix is purchasing their own stuff and going off and do their own thing or what. But if to me, I think that would be part of that.
Yeah. Well, I would agree more if this was 2003 or 2004.
Oh, no doubt, they're hurting.
It's 2014. I would expect them to do that a long time ago. Have gotten rid of them if that was the case. But like it's sad that because if not for Sony's other woes, they would probably be all right. But because of the other their business aspects, like obviously they sold Vio, TVs and all that, cameras ain't doing so hot. And movies too. Movies hurt them pretty sharply. So
I guess
music.
The scary thing is right now, the only thing that is profiting for Sony is the gaming division right now,
right.
which is ironic because the gaming division for Sony overall over the past 8 years has been losing them money. It's just that every quarter they make a profit.
Over the past 8 years, more like since they came into the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
every quarter they make a profit, so the investors are like, okay, but nobody has sat down and looked at the balance sheet for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and like, they're not making any money back.
Right.
I mean, they're making a profit here, but then the next year they'll make a loss that was bigger than the profit they will make the next year after that. But they don't care because they just see a profit on the sheet.
Right. And that that's what they'll tout. That's what the drones will run around and tout that. Oh, let it just profit.
This is the sad thing that don't make sense about a lot of Sony drones. Anyone with common sense will know that games are what are where the money is made. So they're going on, like, they're saying things like Sony is fine and this, that, and everything. But how many fans of Sony actually buy Sony's games? It's always the third-party games they tend to buy. They buy like the odd few every so often, but Killzone Shadowfall was the most traded-in game of 2013, from what I read in one article. And the best-selling game on the PS4 still now is Call of Duty.
Wow,
that's sad. That's real sad.
And we can segue into Nintendo's woes with that, because where Nintendo, the Wii U has a great attach rate for software, the console obviously isn't selling as much as we'd like or Nintendo would like. So, it's kind of a, you have Sony where they can sell consoles, but they can't sell in damn games. And you got Nintendo where they can sell games, but they can't sell in damn consoles.
Yeah.
So it's just like, when you look at the pattern, that's kind of how it's always been.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at N64 and PlayStation,
right.
PS2 and GameCube. The only difference was, the only anomaly in this sequence was the Wii. So it's like, why are people so surprised that a Sony console is outselling a Nintendo console?
Right. I mean, look at the GameCube era. It was the second most profitable era. We're talking about a 22 million install base on the GameCube.
Yeah, but with a 10-to-1 attach rate.
Exactly. That's the difference. Because Nintendo's games sell very well. And
the best-selling game on the PS2 is San Andreas, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So, and that's not even Sony's game.
Right. So, you got to kind of take, your wins with your losses.
Yep, kind of puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
Exactly. Going back into Nintendo, from what I've heard, they're going to be doing a lot of mass marketing, like a big marketing campaign. At least in the UK, they're supposed to be doing this for Mario Kart 8. You guys heard anything about that?
Yeah, I actually just read that.
I
think it was on PE. Comparisons. I'm not sure if it's fair, but I just read that. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even right now, if you pre-order,
Best Buy.
Mario Kart 8 at Best Buy, they give you a gas card. Interesting.
It's
they
pretty
give you
clever.
a $10 gas card. It's interesting what they're doing there.
It's like, it is. They say Nintendo doesn't cater to the fans that have grown up and stuff, but they're catering to them. You buy Mario Kart, you get $10 off your gas. We care, they're saying we care about you. We care about the fact that you're older and you have to drive now. So just as a gift, we're giving you $10 off your gas when you buy our games.
That and a blue tortoise shell in case the 5-0 was sitting up here ready to cut you off.
You get a Mario Kart 8 and a quarter tank of gas.
As you're on that topic, just to get a little unrealistic for a while, I wonder how much a real blue shell would cost. I'll pay big money for that.
Lord.
I mean, explosion and everything. I want the whole deal.
Oh my Lord, dude, that forget it, man. Every single bank robber in history will sit up here and be getting them then.
But to be honest, if I was driving and I was in traffic, I wouldn't want a blue shell because that wouldn't really do much for me except stop the car at the front of all the traffic. I'd want a star or a bullet bill.
Oh, bullet bill.
Just pass through the entire traffic line.
You mess around and run into your own blast wave. That was something.
Oh man, no, but I'm just gonna say this: if Nintendo really pulls it off with their advertising, it might pull them out of their slump. You know that they're going so far with the Wii U, which we all have to admit it's a pretty bad slump they've got so far. From what I've heard from a lot of people, they said that Wii U at this point in time hasn't sold as much as the GameCube did, and like I said, if the attach rate is up, it won't hurt them so much. But the thing is, with a lot of the third-party games leaving Wii U, I mean, Nintendo's got a lot of things to prove at this point.
They do.
And, you know, because of the GameCube is the reason why I'm not overly bothered. You know, I think that's because, you know, a lot of people look back on the GameCube as their favorite Nintendo system.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of people do.
I like GameCube. I like the little purple lunchbox.
I had the black one.
You watch my videos, you know I got all of them.
Come on, a black one, man.
You got about 6 GameCubes.
Come on, a black one, man. You're a conformist.
I didn't buy it. You know, my sister's dad bought it for me as a birthday present. I was hoping for the purple one.
So you didn't get one at launch because that wasn't available.
Huh?
That black one wasn't available at launch.
No, I didn't have it at launch. I had it about a year after it came out. Huh?
Had to get that purple one if you wanted it at launch.
And you know,
lunchbox.
As we're talking about this, you know, that actually just brought me back to the realization that colors in consoles are pretty much dead at this point. It's all black and maybe white, but even white's becoming pretty much of a rarity. I mean, look at the 64 and how much colors that had.
Oh,
my brother's got the blue rainbow edition one.
Yep. So I mean, why are they doing this? Yeah.
That didn't really happen until like towards the end, though. I think that was like all right, let's push our console install base up a little bit and offer all these varieties. Because I remember I was I think I was working at a grocery store at the time when the Jungle Green came out with the Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong cart, the yellow banana cart, and the Jungle Green N64 came out. That was like '99, and that was around the time when they started pushing the colors. So you know, that stuff will probably happen. And I was hoping that the customization for your console would take off with the Microsoft Xbox 360 faceplates. I thought that was a cool little idea that nobody really seemed to care about. So
I guess they figured they let third party handle that kind of thing.
Yeah, but rather than charge you for a new face, they'll rather just charge you for a new skin in DLC.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not as cool though when the third party does it, because all you're getting is a damn sticker. You know, you're just putting a sticker on your console. That's not as cool as like changing the faceplate or, you know.
Yeah, I know that. I know. I hear you there, but you know, I guess it is what it is. They're just fading away from that. You know, it's going into the 2000s. It's veering away from the 90s style of gaming. But
I mean, it's still present with the handhelds. I mean, look at all the different colors and variations of the 3DS.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and then in some aspects of the Wii U it is, because then when you think about it, like I mean, it's only been a year into their console launch, and they already released a limited edition design gamepad with the Wind Waker HD bundle.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the and you look at the different Wii remote designs from like Super Mario that they're bringing out as well.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
I mean, they look cool. I know they look damn good, and I would actually try to get some of those. But here's the problem, man. This is a personal problem. This is not going to be across the board at all. But that's me and my little issue I got there. You know, if my console's black, I need black controls. You know.
Oh man.
That's the only thing I haven't got for my Wii U. I've got everything black except the Wii remotes.
He's a console racist, you see.
Because, you know...
you don't want to mix the colors. You hear that, folks? You hear that?
I got like green mixed with white mixed with
Nah, my whole gaming station, including my PC, is just all black except for the Wii remotes.
Because black is cool and sleek. Like
Just don't bring that black to my basketball games. Sorry, I had to do it.
I just got that reference.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Terrible.
Oh man.
Hey, well, you know, if I gotta be a racist, I pretty much prefer being a console racist. I'm cool with that.
Also, you're not a Clippers fan.
You better respect the PC, son.
What about the Master Race?
Oh Lord. Here we go.
The Master Race that you can never win.
Oh Lord.
But I think I've said this before. I think to get back a little bit on what we were talking about with the designs, I think you just said it yourself, Quan. The '90s was probably the last era that stuff mattered because, as far as I'm concerned, consoles themselves haven't looked cool since the N64. You know, that was the last kind of cool-looking console. To me, anyway.
And so many different colors and designs.
Right. I mean, just the shape of it. You know, the shape of it. Now everything is like as a wannabe DVD player looking or PC tower looking box. You
or
know,
lunchbox.
Right, and it's just like it's just as a square or a rectangle.
To be fair, I gotta give the PS4 some props here because they actually got that shape kind of looking good. I like the slanted look of it. You know, it's leaning back a little bit. Yeah.
I prefer the look of the PS3, to be honest. I'm more like sleek, rounded look.
The original toaster or the new one?
No, the original one.
The toaster.
Oh, the George Foreman grill.
The original barbecue grill.
No, this is how. Yeah, the newer one looks like a barbecue grill. I got it right here.
Well, that's
it looks like a barbecue grill.
The first PS3 design with the sleek black roundedness and stuff. I kind of like that design, even though it was like big enough to be a coffee table. But yeah, I like that design.
I actually like the Japanese piano white PS3. That was like, I know they could only make like so many of those because to get white, that white is kind of.
I remember seeing that. I wanted so badly. You know when they did the Iwata Ask and they had the see-through Wii U.
Oh yeah, that was. Sweet.
I wanted that so badly.
I know.
Which brings me back to that. Remember that kind of purple see-through 64 they had?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had the blue see-through one. My brother had the blue see-through one.
I have a transparent Game Boy Advance. The thing
Yeah,
is
I had one
nice.
of those.
They call them the atomic colors, see-through purple and green and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
Where Microsoft is concerned and console design, the original Xbox was just a brick. It was just there, right?
Yeah.
And then they got to the 360. I'm like, okay, this looks kind of sexy, So maybe the next one after this is going to be, even
smaller
sexier.
and sleeker.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope. It's
Big
back to the
VCO
brick.
player.
Yeah, it's back to the brick.
Yeah, I'm not feeling the PS4 trapezoid. I'm not feeling that at all. But
No, I like that. It's okay.
I'm not really. I don't know. It kind of looks like they've done. It kind of looks like they did a Microsoft and just made things flat.
It's like the PS4 is saying, "I'm too cool to stand." I'm gonna lean back.
It's more like a eraser.
yeah, it looks like an eraser. That's a good call.
Or it's like because I feel like it's because it has like that little indent or something like that in the middle. It's like that kind of like it goes in. So basically it would be like a sandwich a little bit.
I think the Xbox looks like somebody stepped on Wally.
The Xbox is like it looks like a giant NES. That's what it looks like, a giant NES.
The original?
No, the Xbox One.
Oh.
Xbox One. It even goes further than this. It
even looks like a giant Wii as well. Huh?
Yeah.
The
The Xbox One design even affects functionality. I mean, you can't. Well, not can't, but it's not advised that you put it vertical, right? The console. So
that's
they don't advise that you.
That's how Microsoft's always been, poor technical design.
Oh Lord.
I like being able to stand my consoles up. One, they take less shelf space. Two, it looks better. It just looks better to me personally. That's a personal thing. I'm not sure if any of you could agree on that, but I don't know. Laying a console down is only if it's absolutely necessary.
But, unless it's the Wii, of course, in which you can just put that anywhere. I had a jacket which had pockets big enough to fit the Wii in.
It's a big
but I mean, they went to the trouble of giving you that cool stand, that give it that that effect. So I mean, it seems like a waste,
which have made my Wii U drop out of from dragging GameCube controllers several times. And somehow the console still managed to survive. I don't know what it is Nintendo do, but they build their consoles like flipping titanium.
Nintendo.
I got it.
They should have put that in Wolverine, and he would have been invincible.
I think what it is they sat up there and made a deal with Tonka. Those consoles are Tonka tough.
Oh man.
No, I think Nokia and Nintendo have the same hardware manufacturers because neither Nokia phones nor Nintendo consoles break.
Hey, you guys have heard the story about the original Game Boy that's sitting in Nintendo World Store, right? It survived through Desert Storm.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was actually battle tested.
Wow.
Angle and it still plays perfectly.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think I kind of went I think I went on a tirade a couple of weeks ago on Gamers at Large. I talked about a Game Boy I had that literally sat in my backyard for over a month. I didn't know where it was. It was buried under dirt somewhere in the backyard, and it had rained for like a month over there. And I pulled it out, dusted it off, popped the game in, Super Mario Land.
even when I saw that horrific video of the guy putting dynamite on a Wii U, or not dynamite, an explosive on a Wii U, like I was surprised after that massive explosion. I was surprised how much of the console is actually still intact. Like a whole half of the console was still intact.
Was that the same video of the guy that shot it with a 50 cal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew Nintendo products were strong when I was a kid. My uncle, he got real pissed off because we were playing the Nintendo Nintendo NES on his TV, and we'd leave it all hooked up and wires everywhere. So he got pissed off. Came home one day, he took it. And we used to live. We lived on like the second story. It was apartment building. We lived on like the second or third floor. And we lived across the street from like this small little daycare that had like a parking lot in the front. Cement parking lot with a fence around the whole area. He took it and he flung it across the street into that parking lot. Bam! And we were crying. We were crying. We thought NES was done. I picked up the broken pieces of my heart and I walked over there. And I got it. The top had broken off. The gray part on the top that came apart. Brought it back. We put it in. Hooked it up. Just to hopefully we can give it our last hurrahs. But it played. It still plays today.
Wow.
Wow.
So
let me tell you,
Crazy Glue is better, right?
Yeah.
Now let me tell you.
Actually, got tape on. I didn't mean Crazy Glue.
let me tell you what happened with my GameCube. Like, I bought it down to a Play Center group, and we was playing it and everything. Wide controls and everything. The wires were stretched all across the room and stuff. And it was Halloween, so someone must have played a Halloween joke. And one of the guys in the group got scared and ran right across the room, right across the controls. I tell you, the whole console flung from one side of the room, slammed right into the wall. And I was getting ready to go. I was getting ready to get mad. And then when I put it in and set it back up and everything, it was working fine, and it's still working now.
Wow. I'm just telling you something right now. That's one thing console manufacturers need to consider, that if they're going to market towards the younger audience, make it Tonka tough. That's all I got.
The thing is, you got to be trying to break a Nintendo console. I mean, really trying.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but as a Nintendo fan, I have no worries. Obviously some of them will break, but I'll go out, day one and buy the console because I feel like, knowing my history, with Nintendo, they consoles last forever. It seems like. So I never worry about buying a launch day console for Nintendo. I haven't had a problem yet. I know some people have. Not saying it's perfect, but I think the failure rate is very low.
Yeah, not only that, when you buy a Nintendo console at launch, it's the only version that's ever going to be coming out, most likely, right? The only one I think the console I think was Wii had a different SKU.
Yeah.
That was the only console, right? I don't think anything else had a different SKU.
Yeah, other than like colors and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, right. That's what I mean. I mean, they're not going to tell you, oh, well, here's the Wii U Slim. It's like, no, nothing like that, you know.
Right.
Well, can you imagine? Well, they managed to do it with the Wii Mini, but I mean, like, come on, the console's already small enough as it is.
Yeah, who wants the Wii Mini? It ain't, you know.
No, the Wii Mini was missing features. Who the hell is going to trade a Wii for that?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, do you really need something much smaller than a Wii in the first place?
No.
True.
Wasn't the Wii the console with the highest failure rates that Nintendo's ever had?
Probably.
Was it?
Yeah, I would think that or probably Game Boy Advance, one of the two.
Mm-hmm. But even so, my Wii still works perfectly fine.
There's no reason.
But
Ever get
was the failure rate high because it was high, or was it high because the install base was so large?
That's another thing. Yeah, they sold 100 million.
Yeah, they made a lot of them. Now, I had a launch one and the Bluetooth module died, but there's a few people out there that had the dual layer DVD issue and things like that.
I had my disk drive lens burnt out. I had to like put a new one in it myself.
Yeah, I can attest to that. My Smash Bros. Brawl stopped working after a while.
Yeah, that's the game that made me want to have to get the disk drive thing. Why is it always Smash Brothers?
Hey,
even my Melee disc had trouble loading up sometimes.
Yeah, you better not do that. Stuff. Yo, hey, I'm looking at you. Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
That's the thing that worries me about this generation since the discs came in, is that they're going to be a little bit more fragile than cartridges. I still have Ataris that work, so that's probably not going to be the case for my I'm worried about my Saturn and my Dreamcast right now.
Speaking of Atari, actually, I know you guys must have heard that they have found all the ET cartridges that were buried in a garbage landfill.
How about that?
Why would they go into that?
The legend is true.
The legend is true. That's what I thought.
Wow. I personally think that if they dug those abominations up, as soon as they crack the soil, and they see the first cartridge, it's supposed to be like freaking Indiana Jones.
Oh Lord, their faces would melt.
The faces would melt, like Spurstud coming out and sucking their souls and shit. Why would you crack that seal? I mean, leave it alone.
Oh Lord!
The legend was a cool legend, We didn't know if it was true or not. It was funny, So, but now they confirmed it. It's not as funny and cool anymore.
Oh Lord! No, it's still kind of funny.
It's definitely. The story of itself is funny, but
Remember, this is the company. This is the company that said Nintendo was on a path to irrelevancy, and all their old games is in a garbage pile.
The company itself didn't say it is that one.
Well, not the company itself, is the one guy.
Yeah.
But what I don't get is this: why would you print out more copies of a game than you had install based?
Because they thought they were gonna sell more systems because of that game.
That was gonna grow the install base.
It was stupid.
You
got 1 month to make the damn game. How is it gonna be good enough?
Exactly.
Come on.
Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but is Atari the only company ever to bury games or bury peripherals or whatever?
I got a feeling they are.
I would bet Sega is another one.
Nah, I don't think Sega would do that.
But it at least goes to show that gamers back then were smart, because back then broken games couldn't sell systems. Unlike today.
Today,
even broken games with a super popular property like ET was. I don't think a lot of people don't realize how big ET was. It was the thing back then. I mean, no movie before it had made as much money. It just blew everything out of the water. So they thought they can just put ET on a box and sell it, and that wasn't the case.
Yep, and in the process, they put the entire gaming industry in a freaking guillotine.
And who's responsible for everyone being able to keep their jobs in video gaming, yet they always slander them?
Ah, boy.
Sony?
I could actually imagine one of those fishbowl gamers actually thinking that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the PlayStation just helped us. No. It was
That's always been one of my things about Microsoft and Sony. that was the case for at least when the first PlayStation 1 came out. I had more, I guess, for lack of a better word, respect for Nintendo and Sega because I felt like they paid their dues in the industry. Nintendo came in, and when Nintendo came in after the crash, and they had to fight to get in stores. They had to fight to get it retail. They paid their dues, and you had Sega, who fought through their first gen anyway with the Master System, and it didn't sell that well, but they paid their dues with that system, and they came back with the Genesis, and the Genesis was kicking butt, so they paid their dues. They worked at it, and I felt like Sony already had a brand name that everybody knew about, so they could put their name pretty much on anything at that time, and it was going to sell. So I had a little less respect for them when they first came out. Obviously, PlayStation 1 was a great system, and so they earned my respect after that. But that's the thing about Microsoft. The Xbox, they bought their way in, and that always bothered me. I have since gained some respect for the Microsoft Xbox brand because Xbox was a good system, and 360 after their initial failure rate issues and all that was also a good system. So I've come around on them a little bit in the past generation. So for me it was hard for me to accept them because I felt like they hadn't paid their dues the way other consoles, other companies had.
But I heard that. But one thing I'll say in their defense against Sony is that with Microsoft, at least they were already in software when they got into gaming, whereas Sony, there wasn't really anything to really do with software.
No, but they had hardware that everybody knew.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with that. That they didn't have software. Actually, that's the thing that's hurting them now because they didn't come forth with software. And so
they had
their install base, their gamers, the Sony gamers, don't buy their software, and maybe that it stems from the fact that they didn't put their software foot first. So.
But I do commend Sony for the way they came in. I mean, they did help to bring up quite a lot. They did help to bring up quite a few good franchises, which some of them have now kind of died out, and they have helped to bring up quite a lot of noteworthy developers like Naughty Dog and Insomniac.
Yeah.
So
I just felt like Sony was at their best when they were, fighting with Nintendo, instead of fighting with Microsoft.
Because
we were a better company then.
Just to expand on what T is saying there, one of the things that he said they bought their way in, right? But one of the things that always bothered me about Microsoft in gaming is this, their whole policy against the whole sloppy seconds thing, the console parity. I always find, who are they, being the last and being the babies, to actually, set rules on it and say, hey, you know what, hey, we first, or at the same time, or get out of here with this stuff, You're coming into the party late, and then you want to change the music, That's the way I look at it. You come into a dude's car, dude is happy enough he's generous enough to give you a ride, and you immediately touch the dude's stereo. You don't do that. Right? So I find it strange that they're the ones setting the pace and the rules and certain things like this, and they're the youngest. But then again, money speaks. So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They came in acting like Nintendo, with the NES, but they didn't pay their dues that way. Nintendo paid their dues.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nintendo struggled in the beginning.
Right, they had to fight. Like I said, they had to fight for the retailers to even respect a game console, because Atari killed it. People hear that, but Atari killed, the industry over here. At least over here, for sure. And Nintendo had they changed the design of the NES to look more like a VCR player because they felt like if it looked like a game console and it would that stigma. It would hurt the sales, and that's why it was called the Nintendo Entertainment System here. Because if you called it a Nintendo game console, it probably wouldn't have done anything. So they did a lot, to revitalize the market.
Not to mention,
and 30 years later, who has happened to tried to copy the same execution and failed? Microsoft. the Xbox One entertainment system.
Okay.
Everything from the way it's designed to the fact that they're trying to market it like a VCR player.
Oh Lord.
Well, they're not so much marketing it, but everyone's calling it that.
Well, it's history repeating itself in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
or at least they're trying to repeat history.
I don't know about y'all, but I feel like we've been negative Nancy's for quite some time.
No, but you gotta admit things in the industry haven't been all that great for us to sit up here and be jumping around and saying hooray. For a while. I guess E3 is going to be when things have a turnaround, hopefully, for all three of the big three.
I think.
Mike, are you still there?
Oh, whoa.
He doubled up on us. They don't call him double MO6 for nothing.
Shout out Clone G.
I don't even know what happened there. It just signed me out and then I had to sign back in. And some foolish. It's
wow.
Google. It's Google.
I just thought you just ate a cherry.
Nah.
I'm waiting. I often get accused of being a fanboy and all that, because we all do mostly. It seems you can only accuse a Nintendo fan of being a fanboy, which is
it only applies to us. It only applies to us.
Which is, I find it kind of funny because I own pretty much everything. I put my Nintendo foot first, but that's just my prerogative. But the quote unquote more legitimate gamers don't have a Nintendo console. I find that strange that you can call me a fanboy, but you don't even own other pieces of plastic. But anyway, I'm sitting around. I'm waiting as a Nintendo fan, not only for Nintendo, but I'm waiting for Sony and Microsoft to give me a reason to go out and buy that console, because I want, a reason to do so. I'm waiting on a reason to buy these consoles. I'm waiting on that promise, that that next gen. I've been waiting on that. So, and for me, it's not cores or that game 8 gigabytes of RAM. I need actual games. So.
Exactly, because and you need more than just rehashes, as people say, and you need a lot more than
just on my current consoles. I don't need that. That ain't.
You know what's the funny part about all of this? We got so many. You said rehashes, right? We've got so many remastered and all of this other trash going around. But all of it would not be necessary if the damn things just had back. It would not be necessary.
Right, it wouldn't be necessary.
It is really.
Don't get me started on that.
And I hear this damage control about, and this is damage control. Damage control gets used wrong a lot in this community, but this is damage control. I hear this, it doesn't, the architecture is different and they can't do it. And I have a console right now that I can play NES games on. I have a current gen or next gen console, whatever we call it, that I can go back and play NES games on. So don't give me architecture nonsense.
I will slightly defend that point a little bit in terms of obviously when you look at the processors compared to what's in the PS4 and Xbox One, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but when you look at the processors in the PS4 and the Xbox One, and then when you look at the fact that PS3 and Xbox 360 were both very CPU centric. It kind of makes me. I do believe me personally, I do believe there is some truth in the aspect that there was that in itself was a bit of a technical limitation as to why they didn't implement backwards compatibility. Because if you have the power to do it, I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
Well, I would believe that, but I have a PlayStation 3 that plays PlayStation 1 games, and if that wasn't a problem.
But then that's when you think about the power gap between PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 3, then
yeah. But what he's saying,
it also played PlayStation 2 games as well. So it played its last generation of games on on that at least that first hardware. They quickly took that stuff out because they was losing too much damn money. But it played PlayStation 2 games as well, which was its last generation of hardware. So I feel like you have that under your belt. You have that hardware under your belt. It shouldn't, at this point, 8 years later, you should have some kind of way to where I can play that game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
From my point of view,
I don't think it's necessarily I don't think it's necessarily impossible. I just think that with the
They didn't want to pay for it. That's what it was.
Yeah, I just think that even from a technical, I don't think it's impossible because all they need to do is just recode the game so that it works with that kind of architecture. I just think they're just too lazy to do it.
Yeah.
now, from my point of view, guys, the thing is, as time goes along with these two consoles, the x86 architecture and all that, we seem to be getting more and more reasons piling up as to why they probably should not have implemented this architecture. In Sony's case, yeah, they probably would not have wanted to go ahead with an advanced version of Cell or whatever, and they would have had to make a change because that was just horrible, according to the developers. But, I mean, we have no backwards compatibility. We have all of this other stuff going on. There's even the talk of games pretty much hitting the cap, the max of these consoles already because they're so similar to the PC architecture. So, I mean, where are the benefits? I'm seeing a lot of reasons why not, but where are the benefits? So, in my mind, maybe they should have 86'd the x86, you know?
I mean, you're saying it right, because that was a part of the creative process, was learning how to use these, this new architecture, this new hardware that came out on these new consoles. That was part of the creative process when you discovered the things. You didn't just know how to do everything right away, and so you're sitting there like, well, I can do everything I want, and that kills your creative process.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that ties into the fact that we get these rehashes and the creativity seems to be stagnant. It's because there's no effort. They're not, they don't have a reason to,
and it's also,
work hard at anything.
It's also translating into the performance of the games because you look at a lot of these developers. They have these big £5,000 rigs or whatever developing their games on them, and they can't even get their engines to run optimally on those machines. Yet they're quick to shoehorn them into basically closed box PCs that are much less powerful and expect to get a good performance out of it and expect not to have problems. It's not even it's not even a case where they say these engines aren't running on the Wii U, but like one thing John Shaw said in a podcast, they can't even get the engines to run on the systems they're putting them on.
We can get upset and mad at these dudes all we want to, but the bottom line is we're the one buying these damn games.
It's true.
We got to stop buying these damn broken-ass garbage games. We got to stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And do you guys think that games on either of these consoles will look better towards the end of this generation?
I think they will look better in the simple fact that when they say they're maxing out the limits of these consoles, I think it's a case of what in terms of the programming techniques they're using. I think they're just maxing out in terms of using programming techniques that just aren't very efficient at the moment. I think as they start to use more efficient programming techniques, you will start to see better looking games that tax the hardware in exactly the same way, but because the programming techniques are more efficient, then the results will be a lot more promising. But even so, I do think the aspect of them hitting limitations with the console already is gonna be an issue as well. But I don't think we hit a point where games aren't gonna start to look better. It's still very possible for games to look better and better, even on the PS4 and Xbox One, despite the fact that developers are saying that it's getting tapped out.
That's just the thing. Because I find it very strange that they're saying that about these superior consoles, yet no one even seems to know what's under the hood of the Wii U. So we can't even begin to say it's tapped out yet, So I just find that strange. It's an observation of mine. Because if that is indeed the case, if what I'm saying, and we pretty much seen the best these consoles have to offer, that's breaking a gaming tradition where you knew towards the end of a gaming cycle, generation, you'd get something better. If you compare the likes of maybe Perfect Dark Zero to Half-Life, to Halo 4, you see the drastic difference.
Yeah.
There. Are we going to see that again? if you look back at these launch titles, Killzone Shadowfall, and we look at whatever's at the end of the life cycle of the PlayStation 4, is Killzone Shadowfall going to look just not like crap, but different? So much so that you can see it. There's no ifs or buts. It's definitely there. It's apparent to the naked eye, and everyone can agree this is definitely, without beyond the shadow of doubt, better looking than what came at launch. Are we going to get that again?
I'm not so sure. I don't think so. I just think it's not just a gaming issue. I think it's a entertainment issue almost. I feel like, when's the last time you went to a movie theater and was like truly just blown away by the visual effects?
Avatar.
Avatar, right?
Yeah.
And ever since then, you know, it's been kind of okay. Looks pretty cool, but I think we're getting to a area in media where the visual effects or the graphics, that stuff is starting to peak a little bit, and it's just not going to blow your mind, if you will, in the same amount of time frame.
It's that law of diminishing returns.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's just that as well. In terms of games,
I think that's part of it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think in terms of games, I think also as well, it's art. It's the design of these games as well. These games are designed in such a way where, you know, you look at the new game and you look back at the previous one, and the previous one just looks dreadful compared to the new game. At the time when you looked at that game, you know, it looked amazing. You know, and I think that's what it is. It's just down to, you know, poor. It's down to art design that just doesn't really stand the test of time. I mean, when you look at you look at Wind Waker and Wind Waker HD, you don't know, you can't even really realize how much Wind Waker HD is improved.
Right. I was just about to say that.
Both games side by side.
I was just about to say that because I watched like Wind Waker HD, and I watched the reveal of it or whatever, and I wasn't overly excited about the visuals because I was like, didn't the GameCube one look like that? You know, I wasn't. The art design was so good in the GameCube version that I didn't really, you know, obviously it looks way better visually than the GameCube version, but in my mind was telling me that the GameCube version already looked that good, you know, even though it didn't, because the art direction in that game was so awesome, you know.
I mean, Karen.
No, go ahead. That's it.
Now, even some games I've seen even a lot of games I've played from the GameCube, like I still play like Metroid Prime Trilogy and stuff. I'm looking at some of these games that came on the GameCube, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this game came out in 2002 and it still looks this good.
Yeah. Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
I mean, that game still looks awesome.
Yeah.
And 60 frames per second, by the way.
Like I said though, you know, people, they get too hyped up on visuals, and you know, to the point where they don't realize that, like, you know, like you guys all say, we're reaching a cap, we're reaching a limit. So they got to give us something more to ooh and ah us now. You got to give us something, either more story depth, better gameplay mechanics, you know what I'm saying, more innovative controls.
Yeah, you know that's not happening because Activision just went ahead and showed us the most realistic soldier ever. So.
Everybody cares.
Yeah, but then again, you're going to hit that uncanny valley where things look a little bit too realistic, and then it doesn't feel like a game anymore.
It just starts looking weird, you know.
Yeah, that's why they call it the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
You don't want to approach that level of realism.
And these games are getting weird, and the fact that, you know, a lot of them are promoting watching and playing with grown, muscly men with baby oil. That's what the graphics are making it look like. It's a bit disturbing at times.
Look at the sweat coming off his face.
Where this is gonna go, I mean, on a more serious note, because that.
Yes. Are they gonna close up on the zit and then put a pop-up advertisement? I mean, that's the only thing I'm looking for next.
Because where is it gonna go to? Because, you know, people, not us obviously, but those outside of the gamer circle are constantly looking for ways to bring down gaming, right? I mean, are we going to get to the point where these games look so realistic, where they have even more people now saying, hey, you play Call of Duty, then and it looks that good or real, you're actually training to kill real people.
Right.
And, you know, I wonder if they're actually gonna latch on to that. Damn, I probably shouldn't have given them the idea. Forget what
it's gonna happen.
Somebody's over there writing it down right now.
Yeah.
And they were saying that with Mortal Kombat, for Christ's sakes, on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Imagine today.
Exactly. I mean, so if you have any viewers from Fox News, don't write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably gonna get to that point anyway. I just honestly hope it doesn't, because it's already bad. Where we got video games being the fault of everything bad in the world. So.
But the thing is, even on the graphics side of things, I mean, even the graphics is getting to the point. I think it's just being so half done. I mean, like, they spend so much time designing these character models to look so nice and stuff like that, and they spend so much time making the water making things like the water and stuff like that look all vast and everything. Yet, say you're in like a battleship or something, or say you're in like a speedboat. You're skating along in this speedboat and nothing is the sun is shining on the water and nothing is reflecting.
Right. I mean, that's my point. These companies today lead with graphics, and then they'll tell you about the gameplay. They lead. They show you like Call of Duty. They'll show you, oh, look at this high-res picture. Well, it's still Call of Duty, right? I mean, so
yeah.
Only people that are coming at gameplay first are the indie companies.
And that's a funny part, that Activision would actually show a photo of a soldier. I mean, has anyone ever really stopped to look at the soldiers in Call of Duty?
No, you're running around.
Am I the strange one? Am I the strange one here? Or have you never stopped to look at the soldier?
No. It would make more sense if they showed an environment or something, but a person's a face, I mean, which you barely see before you shoot it. It don't make much sense.
The frenetic gameplay in that game is just run around, boom, dead, boom, dead, boom, dead.
Right.
You have no time to look at anyone. If you look at them, they kill you. So
You're dead.
Like I said, I don't know. Maybe this is something they put in there for snipers.
But really, does a sniper actually stop to admire you before he shoots you?
I don't know. He's like, he probably gonna sit there.
Forehead and pop.
He's gonna.
He can hit you better.
I'm gonna go for the mole on the right side of his nose. Bang!
Hell, they don't even line you up properly. Quick scoping anybody?
Oh Lord.
Yeah, so come on, man. That's just a waste of effort. Change the gameplay. Do that.
They spend more time focusing on graphical things that don't really matter. Like, they focus so much on making the characters look so realistic, but when has character models ever been a big aspect of the game, even in terms of graphics? Because a lot of companies have stylistic character models anyway. I mean, you look at all the different Japanese games, and all the characters have their own stylized character models. So, just by adding so much detail to a character model, you're not even really defining how great the graphics are of the game either. So, it's an insult to both ways, to both graphics and gameplay, in my opinion.
You know, one thing that would have been interesting to see. Do you guys remember the vitality sensor Nintendo was toying around with, and they finally gave up on it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been interesting to see them successfully implement it in a game where anything like head bob and jitter of the gun basically is based on whatever your heart rate is?
Right.
Oh man.
And so when they get you with the little points where you're scared, you're fumbling with the weapon, and it adds to the fear factor. I mean, that would be awesome if they did something like that. Something interesting. Come on now, throw us a curveball. Give us something.
You just said screw it, because gamers care more about the damn graphics than they care, about some cool little gameplay.
You mentioned that. You mentioned that, and all of a sudden, I wish they hadn't included NFC and put that in instead.
Yeah.
In the gameplay,
Oh man, there's so many ways they could go about adding, something to the gameplay to make it interesting that they're not even taking the time to do so. And it's really sad, It's really sad with the interest, with the industry's becoming slowly. Everything is always graphics first, still shots of this majestic soldier, and look how many pimples, and he has a hair on his mole, and okay, gotcha.
That's the thing, though. Gamers today would have just, dismiss it and call it a gimmick. Like, I remember the first time I plugged that Rumble Pack into my N64 controller. I wasn't thinking gimmick. I was thinking, damn, this is awesome. This is, I feel like I'm in the game. I feel like I'm part of the game now. This is just something that puts me more into the game. But today, that would just be considered a damn gimmick.
That Rumble Pack never made sense for me. Never made sense for me. I didn't really see the. No, wait, hold on. I didn't really see the reason to get one until I played Ocarina of Time. And you know, you get you approach some of those hidden holes that you don't see at all, and it starts vibrating. I'm like, okay, what's the reason for this? And then you realize there's a hole there. There's an actual reason in game to find secrets. It's like, this justifies it. This justifies it. You know,
dude, that would be awesome.
Secret Stone or whatever that was.
That'd be awesome for a Spider-Man game. That could be your spider sense.
Right.
Exactly.
You can feel something incoming, but just don't know the direction. Kind of like Spider-Man, you got to be on your guard.
That would be very awesome.
You see, the first game my brother got with his N64 was actually, over in the UK, it was called, for some copyright reason or whatever, I can't remember what it was. It was called Lilac Wars, but it was basically Star Fox.
Yeah, Star Fox.
Yeah, and my brother had my dad got the Rumble Pack edition, so it came with the Rumble Pack there, and I'm telling you, after playing Star Fox with the Rumble Pack in it, there was no excuse for me never to have Rumble in a game again. I mean, just every time you're getting shot and everything, you feel the feedback. It actually immerses you into the game.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, how they changed the name regionally. It's not a contractual thing or licensing thing. It's a cultural thing. They feel like, for whatever reasons, through their marketing, their research or whatever, that Lilac Wars would make more sense in the UK.
Maybe because I don't know. Maybe it was just well, either way you think about it, it sounds like a Star Wars reference because you take out Lilac Wars or Star Fox.
Right.
It's one part of the time.
It happened with a lot of games. I remember Jet Force Gemini is called Star Twins over there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Star Twins, not Jet Force Gemini. So, I mean, they just, they do that based on research and stuff. So.
I don't know what they're researching because Jet Force Gemini is a cool name.
It's a cool name, right? Yeah. But it's called Star Twins over there. It's
okay. Well, cool. Let me just add on to that. Microsoft, I want Star Twins 2.
And actually make it good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a game you think Microsoft would be able to handle. That's it's a shooter.
So, there you go.
Let's make it happen.
Like I said, before, and I'll say it again, they really are sitting on their hands when it comes to those rare IPs. They are really sitting on their hands. I mean, they got a gold mine there that they're not even bothering to use. A regular war chest of, IPs.
I think they get off on just agonizing us Nintendo fans by not doing anything.
Which is why I always say that the purchase of Rare was never really, a proactive purchase. It was always like a defensive purchase. Mm-hmm. We don't really want it. We just want to make sure nobody else does have it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You rather it rot than you have it. So.
We're going to tease you a little bit by giving you quite mediocre games like Perfect Dark Zero and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Oh, Lord. Nothing but a little false hope.
That was a Banjo-Kazooie game? Didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're trolling, huh?
I mean, I never really played. I played the original Perfect Dark, which was really good, but I never really played Perfect Dark Zero. I mean, how bad was it in comparison to
trash. Do not waste your money. I got the limited edition steel box for $11 on Amazon. $11 I will never get back. Trash.
Utter trash.
Never get that game. It'll be like purchasing Sonic 06.
Oh wow!
Not do it.
Is it that bad?
Yes.
Sonic 06 was just that was
abysmal.
I almost forgot that game existed.
Yep. And you know what the funny part is? When I got that, I had 4 controllers for the 360 at the time. I went over to my friends. Said, let's play some Perfect Dark. And they're like, yo, Perfect Dark, because it was like, we had Perfect Dark in the 64, and, that was following right off of GoldenEye 007, so they were, like, really excited that I was getting Perfect Dark back, right? Unanimous decision, never bring this game back here again.
Oh, no.
I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. And, that was the end of that. Absolute nonsense. I mean, I've played some bad games, and I've always been able to finish the first mission in the campaign. Not this game. I couldn't do it. I'm like, what am I playing right now?
It's just
right?
The only game that came close to Perfect Darks or GoldenEye, to me anyway, was I can't think of the name. I own the game, but I can't think of the name right now. It was it's a James Bond game, Nightfire.
Nightfire, yeah.
As far as the multiplayer goes. I felt like that was the closest.
Oh, trolling in multiplayer back in the day in GoldenEye. Oh, the memories.
Yep.
I was a sapper. All I did was use any type of explosive. That was my thing.
Oh, I
Yo,
love the
hey.
explosives.
Hey, kids who are watching this right now, we were spawn trapping in 007 GoldenEye before spawn trapping was even the official name.
Hey, yo. Straight up
Think
and
about
down.
that. Yep.
Oh man.
Love those proximity mines. Woo.
Ooh,
Yep.
Lord. The remote mines were fun, especially with that little
Oh,
glitch you
yes.
could do by holding the I think it was the A and the B button at the same time where they detonate in there. I think it was the A and B
Ah,
button.
man,
You get
that was
those
a good
detonating
time.
missiles.
Yeah.
Back when you didn't have 9-year-olds screaming over voice over IP.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord, the high-pitched voice that sits up here and talks about your mother and your whole generation and blah blah
Hey,
blah.
you know what? I'm not from the most polite country in the world. You can get cussed out for pretty much anything here, but so I know what it's like to get cussed out. I've had it happen to me many times, but you see, getting cussed out and getting cussed out from Alvin the Chipmunk, two different things.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, two different things.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, some people need to put a better leash on their kids. I mean, for real. Some of these kids out there, they got saltier language than I did when I was in the service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
They know they're safe. That's why they. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they wouldn't say that to an adult in the supermarket out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
This might sound a little creepy, but I actually wish sometimes, because I've had some really frustrating experiences. I actually wish sometimes that I could teleport to the person cussing me out just for a moment, just for them to see me in the room with them, and then I'm gone. Just to see that reaction in the face, like, oh shit, he's here,
Watch
just for a moment. I'm not actually gonna do anything. Don't send no freaking child protection or whatever for me, But just for the reaction, I just want to scare him. That's
Boo.
Little kid wet in their pants. Oh Lord.
Yep.
Either that or some grown ass man in his mom's basement wet his pants.
He disappear in the shadows.
In my basement. Ah.
Yeah, he's gaming, so the lights are gonna be off. He disappear in the shadows, like, yo, what's up, bro? Boom, gone.
You know what you just done, Zen Gamer? You've given a certain quack an excuse to make a video about it.
Yo, he's already done what he can do, right? He can do whatever he wants at this point. I'm done with the dude.
Okay. Anywho, anybody have any more topics left? Anyone?
Yeah, I actually did have one, actually.
Go for it, dude.
Fatal Frames coming to the Wii U.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
The Wii U gamepad has a camera. Oh, independent from the screen. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you see,
That game don't matter. That game ain't gonna stay on no consoles.
I love the idea that it's coming, but the fact that it's coming is only now making me a little bit even just more antsy and angry, I guess you could say, that Pokemon Snap isn't,
Oh.
I thought the same
That's
thing.
the one I want. That's the one I want. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to.
hey.
There's an indie game that I'm looking forward to. Actually, Demoman 3 is coming out this month. It's coming.
Is it?
This month coming. Yeah,
This month?
Demoman 3. This
Sweet.
month coming is coming out. I already got the first 2 Demoman. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
It's similar to Pokemon in concept, except for you capture the Demoman by going through different areas of Wi-Fi. Of actual Wi-Fi, you'll find different types of Demoman.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's just pretty cool. So based on I walk around my apartment building once, and I could catch like a whole variety of different ones. Or if I'm like I'm taking a ride with my wife in the car and whatever, boom, capture, boom, capture.
Is it coming to Wii U? Because I think I added. You can add it to your wish list.
I think it's coming to. I think it's just coming to 3DS.
3DS, right? Yeah, because I added it to my wish list. I'm pretty sure I did. So.
It's a solid game though for 3DS. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Really solid game. And they're adding a whole bunch of more features to it and all that and expanding it. I don't know if they're going to leave it as a trilogy though. But if they do decide to bring it to Wii U, that'd be ridiculously cool. I just don't know how they're going to handle the Demoman capture system.
Right.
Unless they make it so that you could port the Demoman over from the 3DS. That's always possible.
Right. That would be smart because that's what the audience go be anyway. Is the 3DS. So you try to entice them to Wii U with that feature. Smash Brothers.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting in and of itself.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, the way I just see it, the more Wii U exclusives that come, the better.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I mean, there's going to be some coming on the way, mostly of the indie variety, but other than that, like I said, who knows? EA
I'm
might.
like,
Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry.
No,
No, I
go
was just
ahead.
gonna say I'm really excited for Cube Man 2 because of the cross. What do you call it? You can play multiplayer across
cross-platform.
Cross-platform. You can play, people who have the game on other consoles.
Which is really cool. That's
Which
what
is
I
very
want.
cool.
That's what I want more games to have. So that way we wouldn't have this whole thing of you got the PS3 version, or you got the PS4 version, or you got this version. No, it's just like you got one version you play with everybody.
Right, and not only that, you can take your console wars to
Different levels.
a multiplayer game.
Mhm.
Actually, so
There you go. That'd be interesting. Can you
Which
imagine?
console has the best control?
which console is it?
Can you imagine all the Sony and Microsoft fans thinking, these Nintendo fags, they don't play Call of Duty, blah blah, and they realize it, and
Ooh,
then
do
everyone.
they realize that if we use the Wii remotes, they're dead?
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
It's all over.
Oh man, that'd be so insane.
Now you're just gonna give them actual reason to hate us.
Oh man.
Hey,
So-
man, they better be scared.
So, does anybody else have any more topics to bring up?
No,
I
that's
think we're tapped out. Okay, so I guess we'll wrap it up here, gentlemen. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're ready.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been, the Gamers at Large podcast, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves listening to us sitting up here grumbling and ranting and raving and mumbling and doing our rabble, and all that other stuff that we do so well. Okay. And now getting ready to say goodbye. I'm going to start from my right to my left. Let's start with the Zen Gamer. Do your thing, bro.
All right, people. Thanks for watching. Haven't been on here for a while, so it was a nice change of pace for me and Sundays, which have been really frustrating for the last few weeks. But hanging out with the guys is almost like the heal all, the cure all. So I was glad to be here. So I hope to be on whenever we are here doing this again. That's just about it. Thanks for watching, guys.
Alrighty. Up next, we got Mr. T. Mr. T, do your thing.
Hey fools, it's Mr. T. Once again, I had a great time talking with you fools about games, because a lot of channels on here don't actually talk about games. So it's always it's a nice change of pace as far as that goes. But I should have my last couple of PAX videos up tonight, my coverage, which will end with the interview with Jules Watcham of a Renegade Kid. So look out for that, and then it's back to regular programming on the Mr. T show. So stay tuned.
Alrighty, up next we got Mr. Butterworth. Mr. Butterworth, do your thing.
Yo, Jamie Butterworth here, aka Butterworthy. Be sure to check me out. But it was nice hanging out and enjoying a bit of a chat with you guys for once.
Okay. And up next we got Games Rosa. Do your thing, bro.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a great podcast, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, so basically, don't forget, guys. I'm not gonna say the whole thing this time. Game till the end.
Alrighty. And up next we have Micah. Micah, do your thing, man.
Yo, thanks for tuning into the podcast, people. Hope you enjoy it. Like I said in one of my earlier videos, I've got a capture card now, so I will be doing game footage, so check that out as well. But as always, good talking with the group, and just delving deep into what the stuff that really goes on in the gaming industry. So as always, keep it gaming, people.
Alrighty, and then finally we have myself, and I, QMC Quan Manchu, bidding you adieu, and as I always say, everybody, whatever's clever. We're out.
Mm-hmm.